You're listening to a Lost in the Groove segment.
Having good vibes with your bones and joints. Taking a trip into the groove. American groove into stoner world. Gonna play.
Just like all seriousness, can we just like talk for a second about the new Beetlejuice movie? Because I'm kind of excited. I'm
not very informed. Maybe you should inform me.
Okay, so first off, we got the whole original cast. We got Catherine O'Hara. We got Winona Ryder. We got
Wow.
Michael Keaton.
Whoa.
And now we have also Jennifer Ortega. I think that's what her name is. The one that played... Is it Jennifer? What's her name?
Yeah.
I think that's what her name is. She's the one that plays in the Wednesday. She plays Wednesday in the new series. So, like, part of the lore was Tim Burton basically, like, refused to make a second Beetlejuice movie. Like, to the point, like, he came up with this insane story of, like, Beetlejuice going to Hawaii just to get out of making another story. And we finally, like, reached a point where they decided to make another Beetlejuice movie.
Probably just a bunch of CG.
Actually, they're using a lot of practical effects for this movie.
Yeah.
Very similar to the original. This is the thing I like about directors like Tim Burton, particularly. Tim Burton is very old school. He likes physical things. Like,
maybe now, but did you ever see the monstrosities that he made in the early 2000s?
oh yeah, like the corpses. Well, I kind of like the...
that shit's decent. What I'm referring to is his version of Alice in Wonderland was trash.
He did a version of Alice in Wonderland?
Yeah, and it was really bad. And then he destroyed Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh yeah, with
And both of those came out around the same time, and they were awful. But then he redeemed himself with the vampire one. I like that one. Whatever it was.
It was called Shadows.
Yeah, I like that one.
Oh, it's something like Dark Shadows.
Yeah.
That also had Johnny Depp in it.
Yeah, I like that one a lot.
I'm actually going to look through to see if I can find... Well, you know, when you're dealing with people like Tim Burton, like even like we're talking about like Quentin Tarantino, okay? This is just my personal opinion. You're dealing with mentally very sick people. Like, they are mentally ill. Like, they have some form of a mental illness that maybe is undiagnosed. I don't know. I'm not their physicians. That doesn't... I mean, like, that is a bad thing, but they're still really good at what they do. Yeah, he did Edward Scissorhands. I mean, his version of the Batman movie is by far one of my favorites.
I mean, he made some really good movies.
Yes, he has. He made Sweeney Todd.
Say, Mars Attacks is honestly one of the best movies ever made, like in Hollywood history. Like, because it's just so creative and it just brings such high energy. It was just a really, really big time in Hollywood. And then I would say, what is it? It looks like somewhere around the early 2000s. I mean, Corpse Bride is okay. Sweeney Todd, like, I like the way that Sweeney Todd looks. I like the idea of it. But I could just fucking strangle somebody through most of those music, like those songs. Like, I hate it when people sing talk. Like, I really like it when, like, they'll have, like, the dialogue between the characters. And then, like, if it's a musical, they have, like, a song. you know, and then like the song is kind of like fun and it's
I
like,
don't know.
ta-da. But in Sweeney Todd, they have their conversation in the song. Like, it drives me fucking nuts. Like, would you like to go with me? Yes, I will go with you. Like, I'm like, I will kill you. Like, I'm trying to hear what they're like. I don't know. It's just like so frustrating. Like, I can't.
What's really interesting about that movie is Helena Bonham Carter, which she also plays Bellatrix Lestrange in the Harry Potter series. And she played numerous amount of characters. But she's an actress, but she also does like Broadway like productions. Like, she was on stage, and it's kind of like, for me, it's a little off-putting because you have all of these actors and actresses, because I love that movie, Sweeney Todd, but most of them have never been in theater. Helena Bonham Carter was in theater, you know, like, and she's the only one that's like being a theater actress, and it's a little like doesn't almost fit in with the rest of the story, because everybody else, like, no offense to Johnny Depp, like, he's not a great singer. He's not a great dancer.
He did Cry Baby. Like, and he does like a West Side Story stuff where he sings and dances. He's always kind of been a singy, dancy, showy, pretty boy, but
not anymore.
Well, now he's a little bitch, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's kind of like Leonardo DiCaprio, minus
I hate him.
Minus the beer belly.
No, it's too bad what happened to him. I blame cocaine. It's a hell of a drug.
I blame Leonardo DiCaprio. I'm being serious. Like, I personally feel Leonardo DiCaprio and Matthew McConaughey are both like the epitomes of like what has destroyed other actors and actresses. Because like, you gotta understand,
those are two totally different people doing totally different things.
And I'll tell you why. Because these people would party with these other actors and actresses. Like, this is the thing, like, it's kind of like,
no, Matthew McConaughey is like off on his own. He doesn't even have
thinking of who am I thinking of? I'm thinking not Sean Connery.
No.
The guy that played with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Brad Pitt.
No, not Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt is another bitch that we're not going to get into a conversation about, because we can go on
like Brad Pitt.
I do not like Brad Pitt. He is a piece of shit, and I don't
know.
He's just a pretty boy. I know.
Yeah, but he came from nothing. There's hardly anybody like that anymore.
Oh my God, they all came from nothing, please.
No, they did not. Most of them these days are just like, they're just freaking bred that way. Like, they're little rich bitches, and they don't know anything to be other than actors. But like, that motherfucker, he like moved out to LA and like, you know, just like got rich and famous. And there's a couple of them, they didn't get their parents' help. You know, like Jason Momoa, he's one of them. He just moved his ass out there. Like,
from Iowa.
And yeah, but well, you know, from Iowa, from Hawaii, Iowa. And so he just moved out there. You know, nobody made him famous.
No, true. But there is a bit of influence that has to be taken into account for a lot of actors and actresses, because the thing is, when you reach a certain level of fame, and again, I'm talking as an outside perspective, okay? When you're somebody that's famous, there's not that many people that can relate to you, because you're in a position where there are tons of people that know who you are, and you have no idea who they are. But like, no, I'm not trying to like make their situations any better or whatever, but like, they fall in to groups and people that are kind of in the same realm as they are. And a lot of the times, like, there's drugs involved, there's alcohol involved, there's partying that's involved, there's sometimes really reckless behavior that's involved. And it's like,
the good shit.
I'm going to say it again. Leonardo DiCaprio is responsible for a lot of actors being on fucking drugs. He's great. He's a great actor, but he's just a terrible individual. He's a terrible human being.
He's not even that good of an actor. He's not. He's never made me cry. He's never made me like feel, he's never like blew my mind. Like the best movies I've ever seen him in, it wasn't because of him.
You mean like The Gatsby?
I swear he's just a fucking filler. He's just a pretty blonde boy. There's nothing, he kind of gives me an irk. Like he if I went on a date with him, I would get an ick.
Yeah, it's kind of strange because like even in a movie like Titanic, even though Jack is kind of like a main part of the story, Rose is the main story because Rose is telling her story from like her view. And it's like, yeah, I kind of see that. Yeah, he kind of was just like added because he dies. So it doesn't really matter. Like towards the end.
He's not the main character, which is like odd for the 90s. But I mean, a little like it's got both their stories. But what's the other? Wolf of Wall Street, like I hold back the urge to like if I was in Wolf of Wall Street, like, and I was at the beginning of that movie and like somebody like told me like, like, hey, you could like you could kill this dude right now. Like you could purge him and no one would like ever know or care or or like it would be fine. I would probably think that it was maybe my responsibility to purge him.
The interesting thing about Wolf of Wall Street was when that movie came out.
I hate him.
When that movie came out, my dad flipped out. And I remember my dad called me up and he's like, have you seen the movie? Like, have you seen like Wolf of Wall Street? And I was like, no. And basically, like I told you this story before, like my dad was one of the victims of like, Leonardo DiCaprio. Like my dad did a job for that guy, like that fancy pool, whatever. My dad built him a pool on his property. Okay. And the guy never fucking paid my father.
Yeah.
All right. Like it was like $25,000 in like, I don't know, it was like in the 80s. And that story pissed my dad off, know? And the thing is like, it is a great movie, but for the victims that have to like watch that and see people like applaud, it was kind of hard to swallow.
It's awful. I just think it's like some weird male chauvinistic fantasy that they decided to play out. I feel the same way about Great Gatsby too. Like it's just like gross.
You have to read the book. Honestly, the movie does not do the book justice because if you read the book...
Yeah. I've read the book in junior high. It's just like... I don't know. I there's no Leonardo DiCaprio movies where I was like moved. Like I love Inception. And I love Inception because of Ellen Page.
Oh, she was incredible. We're all about the artist. That is the whole purpose of this podcast, period. And you have a really valuable tool. You can share this with artists, people that are creative, someone that can enjoy this podcast and really enjoy the experience of Lost in the Groove. So with that, let's jump back to today's episode, shall we?
Like, I mean, I'm sure like Leonardo has his place, but it's that other dude, the one with the brown hair, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Fucking beautiful.
Oh my God, he's beautiful.
Beautiful.
And he's a really, really talented actor. Like, he's able to go from role to role seamlessly. Like, he could play a psychopath character and you're like, don't hurt me.
He's just, Leonardo DiCaprio is so flat. The only movie I've ever really seen him do good in is Gangs of New York. That's it, man. Because, wait. Was he in He was in Django.
Was he in Django?
Django Unchained. I feel like he was in there for a second or something like that.
I'm going to check. Django?
Well, I'm trying to think. I kind of remember him.
Oh, he was... Leonardo DiCaprio played in the movie with grapes. What's up with
Gilbert?
Gilbert?
But What's Eating Gilbert Grape? But I'm trying to think of like his like middle stuff. But that one Scorsese movie, he sucked. He killed it. He killed the vibe. It was just flat as fuck.
He wasn't Django and Unchained.
He was, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. But he played...
He did pretty good being a piece of shit. That's what he's good at. You pay a little prick shit, and he does a good job at it. Little cheater fucker. Seriously, he sucks.
Oh my god,
he's a little bitch.
I'm like afraid to even bring up Shia LaBeouf because like
I like Shia.
I know
because he's that whole shit. He's good. He's that weird like nerd. He is. He's a freaking nerd. You know he's weird. Oh my god. You know he's kind of stinky.
They're all weird. They're all weird. They're all like crazy and insane. You know, like have you ever seen Angelina Jolie? Like,
I mean, I haven't seen her, but I've been with people who have seen her. I've been like around her, but like
she is what she played Maleficent so well because she is Maleficent.
I've heard that she's the sweetest, that she's really nice and very respectful.
But she did she played it like that is by far my favorite live action movie out of everything that Disney made. Because like that was like honestly
it's a good movie.
It was a really good story. Because when you watch Sleeping Beauty, it's I love the movie, but like you kind of like what's Maleficent's background? You're kind of confused. Yeah. Like, why does
really
she
good
hate...
message? Yeah.
Yeah, and then they made the movie, and it was like, this is incredible. And then they just gave us all this bullshit crap, like the new Little Mermaid that's like culturally appropriate, and then like now they're giving us Snow White, where the evil queen is hotter than Snow White. Okay, because let's be honest,
there's some Snow White coming out. Is that what's up?
Yeah, they basically have Rachel Ziegler playing Snow White, and then they have Gal Gadot playing the evil queen. Like, look, Gal Gadot is super hot, okay? Mm-hmm. Rachel Ziegler is not as hot as Gal Gadot. Like, I'm not like
is
trying
that Maddie's sister?
Maddie Ziegler?
Yeah.
Maybe.
They sisters?
Possibly. But I'm just like... That was the epitome when like that came out and like Angelina Jolie was like the perfect person to play Maleficent because like she was able to show like almost a sincere side from a beast, like from a monstrous individual, and you kind of like understand where like what?
No, it's not. It's not her sister. It's a whole other person.
Oh, it is a whole other person.
I don't know why Rachel Ziegler's name sounds so familiar. Like, I'm like, who is this person?
Okay, but like, what is your thoughts on like the fact that like the evil queen in the live action movie is hotter than Snow White? Like,
dude, she was always hot.
The evil queen?
Yeah, she's always hot. She's supposed to be like the most beautiful person there is. So, like, she is supposed to be, like, freakishly beautiful. Like, no joke, you know? But, I mean, like, story-wise, she is supposed to be, like, ridiculously beautiful.
In the original, yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. But, like, Snow White is still supposed to be prettier. The other thing is, Snow White is supposed to have white skin.
That is,
like,
right.
White as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not saying that because, like, I think it should be one way or the other, but, like...
That is the story.
That truly is the story. And it's, like, it's unusual that she was born so white. So, like, unless everybody else in the story is going to have darker skin and she's born with a lighter tone, they're changing the story in order to fit their narrative.
There's no dwarves. Because it's not culturally appropriate.
But, like, dwarves aren't supposed to be human beings that are like small people, they're supposed to be like actual like gnome people.
Yeah, in a way. Yeah. Like
I mean like it's like a fairy tale. Like they're supposed to be like fake
Gnomey.
like elves.
Yeah. Kind of. Yeah, they don't have pointy ears though. They're kind of like
I think the hats and beards and they look like
and the big noses.
They look like gnomes.
Kind of. I
don't think that they're supposed to be midgets. I think that they're supposed to be gnomes.
Yeah.
I just think everybody's looking for things. Like it's just like freaking weird. Like I don't I don't know.
Like
that's why they're all men, because like that's always a thing too, is that there's no like female gnomes. It's always like a thing.
Well, it's weird because people can be like, you know, old Disney movies are not racially appropriate, you know, or they're not. They have, you know, we need to have culture appropriation because let's be honest, these stories are based on stories that were written in Europe.
Yeah, I know. Okay? Let's look at where the stories are stolen from.
Right. So these stories, like the thing about it, even like Sleeping Beauty was kind of designed to be in that almost Renaissance period, because that is when the story is like, quote unquote, supposed to be like taken. It's like, I understand where your logic is coming from, but try to understand it's just a movie.
Well, they should
It's just a movie.
Stories from other cultures, like, and then make new stories instead of putting other cultures into other cultures' stories. Like, you don't take a German folklore story and insert other cultures into it. It's just odd. Like, I mean, you can, but like, why not make more stories?
Like, it's like walking into like a El Salvadorian, like Latino place that serves El Salvadorian food and being like, hey, can I get a burger and fries with a Coke? Like,
I mean, it's inappropriate to take like a story of a culture and insert a bunch of American things into it. And it's the same way, vice versa. Like, you can't just like take a story, like, I'm sorry, but Little Mermaid is Italy. It's an Italian story. Like, it's off the coast of Italy. It's the Mediterranean. That's where it takes place.
There are dark-skinned people in Italy. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
True. Yeah.
But there is no people that are black that come from Italy. Like, Italy is not a place where there are people that are from parts of the Middle East, such as like Libya or Algeria or different parts that have actually immigrated to Italy. But again, the story was not written that way. We would have known that it would have been somebody from Libya. You know, like there were Libyan mermaids. I don't even know if that's even a thing that you can fathom, but right? That would kind of make more sense. But that's not the story at all. That is not the story.
I love the idea of seeing women of lots of different ethnicities as Disney characters.
When it is appropriate. Let's put it like that. Yeah, when it's appropriate.
I think it's good to have lots of different types of people.
You know, I wanted to veer off for just a second because I watched West Side Story, the new movie that came out, and I have sometimes a really hard time with movies that try to be placed in a certain period. Because, like, let's be honest, like, there's been a new trend where a lot of things are being made, like, supposedly in the 70s and 60s. And for me personally, I want to throw up because it's so over the top.
It's overdone.
It's so overdone.
And fake looking.
But what I loved about West Side Story, especially like the remake, was they kept to the original story and they kept things very practical. Like, meaning you watch the film and you kind of understood that it was the 60s, but you kind of forgot as you were going through the movie. Like, you weren't constantly reminded that this took place in the 1960s. And I really loved that and I appreciated that because, like, it kept to its story. It was a way of, bringing that story that was put on Broadway, that was made into a film in 1962, to a newer audience that could really appreciate from the film. Oh my God, I just wish more people would understand this. It's like, there's nothing wrong with making a film set in 1975. Don't fucking remind us throughout the entire movie it's 1975. Okay?
Yeah, it should just take place there and that's
right,
it.
That's it. Like, we see the cars, okay? We see the phone booths, all right? We see the bell bottoms. That's it. Like, you don't have to go any further. Keep it simple. Trust me, like, people don't realize in the past, a lot of people dress like us today.
There's certain things that
are different.
Yeah, like the fabrics, the way stuff like hangs on people. I would say like what they should really notice is like the way that people interacted with each other was different. Like I think like people had more patience in conversation when sitting there. They had like I would think with dialogue with like characters like and I mean at least with something like West Side Story they have like an older example and they can like stick to it and it can stay consistent, but I think that if someone's creating a story that takes place in the 1960s or 70s, they should think about the fact that like people had way bigger attention spans back then. So like if you're creating a story that makes sense for the attention span of human beings now, you can't have it won't be realistic if you're having that type of conversation with your characters. So I would say that your interaction with your characters should be much slower, but that you would incorporate other things to keep people's attention.
They did that with Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, which I think honestly was kind of, I mean, besides the incredible actors and actresses that were in there.
Well, ladies gossip, so there's that.
Yeah, I mean, but that type of progressive way of story where it's not like sped up like today. Like throughout the episodes, even like through the first season, it's a very slow process because it's very similar to the time, like you have to wait for the phone, you had to go to certain gigs to be able to get things taken care of, you had to wait, sometimes you'd have to drink, sometimes you'd meet, and it felt very natural, like it felt like interactive with the times today, but also felt very much at its, like where it was placed. Hey, it's Dave, and I quickly just wanted to jump in and say if you've been enjoying the podcast, I'm enjoying this episode, if you can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, that'll be so greatly appreciated. Because here's the thing, someone might read that review and make the choice if they want to listen to the podcast. You get to help grow this podcast with us. How fucking cool is that? Let's jump back to today's episode. I don't know. I just find an enjoyment of stories that don't... that you know what? That's a title for today. Stories that don't irritate you. Stories that don't irritate you. And people
stories
that don't
irritate you.
Including people.
I always thought that I liked the Disney movies more than other people did. But then as I get older and I see a lot of people throwing fits about them, then there must be a lot of people who care. But I always thought that they got a lot of guff and I just like them. I actually think that the whole like race thing is just a way to pull our attention away from all the guff that they used to get for the stories being sexist. So now instead of the conversation being that it's like sexist to have these damsel in distress stories, now they're just talking about race. So it's like they've diverted people's attention.
Yeah, they definitely, and there are like certain gems that kind of plop in here and there. Like I'm one of those that I kind of liked the Harley Quinn movie. Not the that. I mean, they gave us Suicide Squad, and we're just like, kill me. But then they came out with the Harley Quinn movie, and what's her name?
Cool.
Her name is Robbie.
Margot Robbie.
Margot Robbie. She was incredible and fun, and enjoyable, and like
hot.
And oh my god, but
she was really, really fun.
That was the thing, because they tried to revive Harley Quinn in the 90s and they failed. And it was kind of the same thing with Deadpool. And you have like people like Ryan Reynolds and like Margot Robbie that are able to take these characters and really like put a nice spin on them. Like, thanks to Ryan Reynolds, we have the best fucking Deadpool we've ever seen in our lives. And like, thanks to Margot Robbie, we have like the best Harley Quinn we've ever seen on film. I mean, come on, she's the best, like one of the best versions of Harley Quinn that's available.
Yeah, she's incredible.
Oh my god. And the way like she just like kind of has a hyena as a pet.
Yeah, she's absolutely wild.
It's amazing.
Like, so unhinged.
I could watch that movie dozens of times, just over and over. It's just so fun.
Really good.
Damn. Is that really the topic for today? Is stories that irritate us and people that irritate us, particularly actors.
I don't know. We talk about Disney movies. I absolutely adore the Pocahontas movie.
Even though it's not historically accurate in any shape or form. But it's
not
a great
supposed to be.
It's not. But it's a great story.
None of them are.
No.
None of the stories are historically accurate. Why is Pocahontas held to such high standards?
Even Mulan.
It's like, who even wrote Pocahontas? Like, where, like...
The real story or the Disney version?
Just whipped up, man. Yeah.
They probably... You know what probably happened? Like, one of the people that were working on the story, like, just randomly went into a mall and, like, saw one of, like, the Native American stores and just, like, saw the name Pocahontas. It was like, Pocahontas. We should make that a story.
I don't know.
But that's, like, my, like... But it's a great movie. Like, for me, is Lilo and Stitch. Like, that is by far one of my favorite... Because... Yes, it's like placed in Hawaii, but it's just, I don't know, like it's not supposed to be like culturally accurate to Hawaii, even though like they have Hawaiian in there and they do like hula dancing, or whatever. It's just a great movie, It's
not historically accurate.
No, not in any shape or form. Like, have you ever been to Hawaii? Okay, there's homeless people everywhere.
Yeah, there's a lot of like meth heads.
Yeah, there's no like aloha, no, none of that shit. Okay.
Hawaiian roller coaster ride.
On a Hawaiian roller coaster ride.
Like, what else is like a ridiculous Disney movie?
Well, there was Atlantis.
The realistic version of it, it's like, oh my god.
There's like one of these that Emperor's New Groove.
Well, it's kind of where I stole the Lost in the Groove name from. Emperor's New Groove.
Kronk. I had to do it.
I don't know.
It was a good movie. I've watched that so many times on Disney Channel. Do you remember when Disney used to have movies they used to play in the evenings?
Yeah, I used to play on TV like all the time. Oh my God, The Emperor's New Groove. And it was a good movie. It was really funny. That's David Spade.
Oh, he played... Oh my God, that is hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember who the guy that played Kronk. He was in Rules of Engagement.
Yeah.
What's his name?
I don't know who he is though.
Oh my God, I'm gonna check this up because now I'm really curious.
David Spade was some good shit, man. Like, I have no idea how he was so funny. Like, so funny. Like, effortlessly funny. Like...
Did you know there's a Rules of Engagement movie?
Yeah, right?
Oh, Patrick Warburton. Warburton.
Warburton.
Or Warburton. Warburton.
Warburton.
Can you imagine having a name like that?
You want to go change your name right now?
They probably call him like Pat for short. Hey Pat. What's up,
But just
Pat?
give yourself one name as like your last and first and just be Warburton.
He's like the one like there's many, but like he's one of those actors where you hear his voice. You don't even have to see his face. You're like, oh, I know who that is. I know who that is.
Fucking people.
His recognizable voice. You want to wrap it up?
Yeah. There's some girl in my class. She watches Law and Order sometimes.
Damn. That's cold. Guess what? She's available. She's definitely single, I promise you. If you want to check out Carissa, you can find her on American Groove on Instagram. And if you want to check out more of the podcast and leave us a review, you can find us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at Lost in the Groove Pod. This has been wild. This has been shenanigans. We've talked about Disney and films and Leonardo DiCaprio and his beer belly. And his 19-year-old
Terrible actor.
And his 19-year-old girlfriend.
Crawl inside of the carcass of a dead bear, and he still couldn't get an Academy Award.
Jesus. Carissa going at it cold. Hey, deuces. All right, we love you all. Catch you on the next one, motherfuckers. Peace. Oh my God. We have to, like, still entertain these people?